Alright, what we're doing here is an accuracy test of the gun. We've got our target set up at 26 yards. Wind is virtually calm, so perfect day to test the accuracy of the rifle. Well, okay, as you can see, there's nothing wrong with the gun. Of course, this is only 25 yards, but here's the target. That's a 5-shot group. We could cover that up with nickels, but I pulled out of my pocket. So the gun is surgically accurate. Now, remember, that's off a machine rest with almost perfect conditions. So when you're hunting, of course, you've got to allow for all the changes and so forth. But I think what we'll do now maybe is do a little penetration test, see how hard this little pellet gun shoots. Okay, what we're going to do here is just a simple test. We've got a 2x4 down here. I doubt that this gun's going to shoot through a 2x4, but we're shooting a 25 caliber pellet, which is a little bit different than most of you are used to. You're used to either the 177 or the 22. But some old boys did a study a while back on YouTube. Not that all that scientific, but somehow they discovered that the U.S. military back in the day determined that for a round to be lethal, it should penetrate at least a 1/2-inch pine board. So these old boys decided they'd put a pine board out at various distances and see how far they could go before the 22 wouldn't penetrate it. Believe it or not, with a little Ruger 1022 and probably hypervelocity ammunition, they got out to 400 yards. The point being that a 22 is not a toy, and you could get killed at an extreme range if hit in the right place with it. Now, how valid that is, I don't know, but it was interesting anyway. The reason they didn't go beyond 400 yards is because they had an 8x4 foot piece of plywood, and beyond that they couldn't hit it, so the trajectory is a little steep beyond that. Anyway, we're going to shoot this 2x4 and see what happens. Okay, well, here's our 2x4. Good hit on it. Still hitting a nickel at 25 yards. And as predicted, it did not go all the way through. So now we need to do some more tests and figure out how far it will go. Okay, I took a 2x6 and ripped it a little bit here. That's roughly at 2 inches. So what I plan to do, if this works out, is to shoot the little target here, and then after I shoot it, cut the board where the bullet hole is and see how far the bullet penetrated. That may or may not work. We'll see. Okay, here's the results of our test. The board fell over when we hit it, so we may have lost a little bit of penetration effect had it been stationary, but according to my little gauge here, that bullet penetrated this board right at 0.8 of an inch. So if you use the 1/2-inch plywood or 1/2-inch board as a test of lethality, then this would surely kill you. Now, how that compares to 22 long rifle, we'd just have to do some more testing. I can't shoot one of those up here because we're too close to town. Oh, by the way, did you notice that you probably didn't even hear the gun go off? It's very quiet. So that's what we're looking at. Okay, well, when we're talking about bullets and what they do, a lot of people get hung up on velocity and caliber. I looked it up, and this little air gun shoots this 25 grain pellet actually faster than a 45 long Colt shoots this 200 grain bullet. So you've got half the caliber, but this 45 grain Colt weighs 200 grains. So it's got a lot of mass to it. It's going to have a lot of energy. Whereas this little 25 caliber pellet only has 25 grains. So a little bit more than 10%. So if you're going to use an air gun for hunting, it's pretty much evident that you've got to make a surgical shot if you're going to kill something like a coyote or a bobcat, or they say this is capable of even taking down a feral pig, but you'd have to hit him perfectly. Anyway, 900 feet per second, 800 feet per second. Okay, we've moved out to 50 yards here. You can't even see the dot on our target with your naked eye. And that's with the telephoto zoom all the way out. And the drill here is just to see, get a little bit of a handle on the ballistic drop of a pellet gun over distance. Now, any bullet starts falling, or let's say feeling the effects of gravity as soon as it leaves the gun. A lot of people think a bullet actually rises when it leaves the barrel. Well, it does if you got the barrel pointed up. What you have to do to make long range shots. But the pellet gun really is a good tool to get a handle on what you need to do when making these long shots, because you have to get an understanding of it with the pellet, because it's going to drop faster since it's not going very fast. Anyway, here we go. 50-yard shot. Let's see what happens. Okay, not too bad. From 50 yards away, outside, with just a hint of wind blowing, it looks like the bullet dropped on an average of 1.5 inches from the 25-yard zero. And that's not a bad group right there. That's obviously less than 1 inch. From center to center, it's a little over 1/3 of an inch. So accuracy test is confirmed. I think what I'll do now is I'll take this target and I'll see if I can guess, based on what when I look through the scope, which one of the ballistic dots will get me zeroed at 50 yards. And then I'll know what my 50-yard dot is, and should be dead on. 50-yard penetration test. There goes my targets. Here's the penetration at 25 yards, and here's what we got at 50 yards, which is I've lost the pellet, but if you measure it out end to end, comes to about 7/10 of an inch or 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to surmise from that that that's still enough to kill you at 50 yards, a human anyway, and certainly enough for bird or wabbit. Now that means I got to go out to 100 yards.